very basicness. Works really fast. And there's lots of tools for JSX, which is what the next slide's all about. The easy one, which you'll probably use for all of a lunchtime, is to get you up and running real fast if you want to play with it. You include a script tag in your test page that you're going to write, and what that will do is it will look for a particular script, another script tag that you've flagged up as being JSX, and it will compile that JSX for you and take out all those angle brackets and HTML, convert them into the JavaScript that React's expecting, and will then run it. So that lets you hack around in a browser and a text pad, notepad or whatever, real fast, without having to set anything else up. So you can just have a good play with it and start getting there. I did that for about 2 days, just running it like that until I built up that whole hotel picture that you saw earlier. I built all that up just doing in-browser stuff, just to see if I could like it, whether it would work. And by that point I was convinced, and I went for it. So, but that's the first tool you can use. The next step up then is they've got tools for compiling that sort of stuff on the servers, from a build step or a compiling step that you might want to do. Again, all that does is transfer out all the angle bracket HTML that we've seen in the JavaScript and put in the JavaScript stuff. We've written all that for us. You can use those with Webpack or Browserify as well. Who's familiar with these kind of crazy tools? 3 of us? I thought so. We should write this slide. So, we're all .NETers, so if it's not Visual Studio, it doesn't exist, right? With the exception of MS Build, but that's a real hardcore guy, so you don't really touch that. So, I want you to have a play. One of the things you need to take home from this is go and have a play with some of these kit. It's really, really good, especially Gnome, which we're going to talk about. So, Browserify and Webpack, they run off a thing called Node.js. It's a JavaScript engine. The way you ought to think about it is it's like the .NET runtime. You just install it. It's really JavaScript. Don't let that scare you. It's phenomenally popular, very, very powerful, and very, very fast. It's not going to replace our beloved tool sets. It enhances it. It gives us extra goodies. So all the fun stuff, all the Ruby and the Linux boys are writing and pumping out all that stuff, we get access to that. We can use it with what we're doing. Because we do web development, they do web development too, so we might as well steal good bits that they're doing and leverage it. So go install Node. That's dead easy. You can download it. It takes about 3 minutes. Webpack, that's like client dependency of sorts. So it will do your minification and your combining of scripts for you. It'll also do a few other cool things as well. Browserify, it's a bit like Webpack, but slower. Or shitter, depending on how rude it is. I went Browserify first, I've gone to Webpack, and I had one of those moments where you went, why did I pick this first? And the reason I did is all the Facebook blog posts that they had at the time said, just install Browserify and let it do its thing. So, well, if they're saying that you did that, it must be really good. I tried installing Browserify. 3 days later, I eventually got it to do its thing, which was not impressive. And then eventually, I saw on the forums that said, yeah, we don't use that anymore. We use Webpack. It's much faster, much better. It produces smaller code. I was like, Dave, you around these blog posts then? That's quite annoying. That would have been handy to know. Where's my 3 days back? Who do I email? To install these, we need a thing called Noop, which is basically NuGet. If you use it, it's a package manager. You say Noop, install Browserify, Noop, install Webpack, and it goes done. And it does lots of magic for you. You don't have to worry about it. Great. All of this, to install these magical tools, will take you all of 5 minutes. And once installed, you need to do nothing else. So it's a one-shot deal if you really want to. Once you've got it, you've got all the toys that everyone's playing with. And once you start digging in properly, you'll go, this is great. I did this years ago. Fantastic. All these tools. They don't do any SaaS, anything like that, or less. Yeah. Browserify can do SaaS and less for you on the fly, so you don't need that web bench stuff in Visual Studio if you don't want to. It also means if you've got designers on Mac, so they can run exactly the same code that you're running. You can both set up this stuff by grunt or gulp or wibble or whatever the hell this week's flavor of build script is. They're all gulp, grunt, and wibble friendly and do what they're going to do. So why should you bother doing React stuff? Oh no, hang on, still on tools. If me guys and guys, we've done this. This one's nice, you actually watch your files. So every time you make a change to JSX, you haven't got to go through the compile process. You make the change and press save, it's already bundled it up, compiled it, and updated it for you. That really speeds up the development time, the development cycle. Which if you were here last year when I was ranting about code first, I said that would be that breaking that development cycle and slowing that down was a really bad thing. This super duper speeds it up. To compile all that HTML that we've got, all the JSX stuff, it takes 0.4 of a second, and it's a lot lot of files that we're running on the current project that we're doing. So that's super fast. And here's one of the other really exciting things you should be using this stuff. It gives you really modular code around the wonder that is CommonJS, which no one knows about. Oh, what? That's because you work with it. So, CommonJS, very simply, it allows you to write your JavaScript files in a way that you can include other JavaScript files. So you can say, oh, I need some maths magic that we wrote. So you say, require maths magic, and then now you have maths magic available in your code. You say, maths magic, do magic things, and it will do that for you. And you haven't got to worry about whether you've included it or not, or have you got the order right, or is it including 3 times by accident. You just say require, and CommonJS takes care of the rest. You need Webpack or Browserify to get the leverage that though. The really other cool thing about CommonJS is you get to use all of the modules that are already written for Node, and there's a shit ton, and they're fantastic. So you can save a lot of time and leverage everyone else's work. This is roughly what it takes to write a CommonJS thing. You have about 2 magic words, module.export. This is basically what stuff am I flinging out, what's going to be externally callable from this particular module. And this is a very crap example, I've got one called MadeBolt, actually MadeBolt, it's simply wrapped with B tags around the passed into text, that's all it's going to do. And it lives in helpers.js. And to use it, I say, hey, give me a variable called helpers.js. I wish to require helpers.js. And I'm going to use it, helpers.js. Helpers.makeBolt, that's in P. That now allows all that stuff to be usable. Great to do, so have a play with that if you can. I can't give you a full talk on it, that's all you get. Go play. Server-side rendering, why on earth would we want to do this? And why is it a good thing with React? If we do everything client-side, which React is, we have to include a script tag at the bottom in order to get it to do it. It's pretty slow. We've got to wait for DOM ready to kick in. We've got to download all that JavaScript. It's then got to run, and then it will show something on the page. So you're looking at a 3-second hangaround. It's not good to have a blank page for 3 seconds. So we want to render it and get that rendered real fast. What we do is we pre-render all that stuff on the server. We send down the HTML that React's kicked out. Right at the bottom, we include React again and say, and when you do boot up in 3 seconds, can you then also start React and start handling stuff client-side? The other advantage is if you get SEO benefits. So when Google screen scrapers, instead of getting a blank page that says do React stuff and nothing else, you know, so single application stuff where you right click and do tools. Instead it skips all that and goes, here's a whole HTML with all the hotel details, the star ratings, all there. Parse that just as you normally would, everything's fantastic. Get that out of the box, as long as you can render on service. It's cacheable, but it's so fast, I wouldn't bother. Currently we're just not bothered. It's insanely quick, so we're not worried about it. It's so quick because it's using the V8 engine from Chrome, which is the fastest .NET JavaScript engine now. And it's running on Windows, which is kind of crazy. But it's okay, even though it's run by Chrome and Google, Microsoft has their own wrapper for it called ClearScript, and that is funded, supported, and constantly up to date, so it's kind of safe to do. Hi, those at the back. I'm running a little behind because I had terrible technical trouble. I'm going to know, we're doing okay. How on earth do you do it? You install React to .NET. There's a .NET version. It's dead easy. It's basically an MVC app. You install it. It's super duper easy to do. After that, it's a standard MVC. You simply call a Razor helper to render your React. Do that. You say, hey, render entire hotel page here. And you go, done it. You simply pass in your model to your helper. You say, render this hotel, and pass in a model, and it goes, and do its thing. Give you a great big string back. It's fantastic. The other thing you need to do is you need to do another init call down the bottom in your footer somewhere that says, can you do the magic React stuff down here? And that's the bit that includes your React tag and client-side stuff. Allows that to run too. It'll also dump a humongous JSON object in there as well, because your server-side rendering and the client-side rendering need to render the same data. And the way it does that is it basically serializes down your model as JSON. So it's definitely rendering the same stuff. And that's kind of what it looks like to do server-side rendering in React. 2 lines, gets it. We like that. That's cheap and fun. I brushed that, and is everyone still reading? We'll have it. So this stuff should look familiar. It's just Razor kind of helper syntax. Can you render my component, which we've had star rating, those that. It all makes sense. This is some of the best stuff they've ever seen. Here's our model, which we kind of get from any MVC style means. I'm not teaching MVC. And there's that funky init thing that you do down the bottom. And that usually would be right at the bottom, just above the bottom, anywhere else we would. So what's it like to do all this crazy React stuff, especially the server-side stuff? Well, we've got hundreds of components currently for this project we're building for about 12 pages. It's producing quite a lot of code. When we stitch it all together using Webpack uncompressed, we are looking at 1.5 megabytes worth of JavaScript, which sounds insane. We'll be heavily confident. And I've got very strict coding format styles, despite what Stephen does. And when we compress all that down, we get down to 300k. That's insane! You can't send 300k down the wire, surely. That's a lot of JavaScript. But you've got to remember, I'm dealing with 12 whole pages on my website here. Everything that we need is down the wire already. Whenever we're going to do a change, we don't call back to the server to say, can you render all the HTML and come back down the wire instead? It's all done in the browser. So instead I'll say, can you go to this page, please? And go, bam! It's already got everything that it needs. And if it needs to go up to the server to get some more data, which is just the stuff I push in the component, data is the gunpowder that took the cannon. So I might go to the server and say, I need more cannon, I need more gunpowder, send the gunpowder. And then I pick it on the JSON, say, right, put that in there. And React does all the magic, renders what it needs to render. My whole page updates insanely fast. It's kind of got everything it needs client-side already. So that's what allows it to get speed. So for 300k for the whole site of the building, I think that's really cheap, especially when you GZip it down to about 80k. That's one hotel image. I'll take that. That's pretty easy to do. And even with 300k guff, it still renders in a tenth of a second. And that's from server down to wire and everything. That is, can't get much quicker than that. We also cheat and we do a thing called optimistic rendering. So, for those that don't know, it's a hotel website, a holiday website. You search for your holiday, you get 20 hotels come back. Oh, I look at that one, you press the button for that one. And as soon as you click, we tell React, hey, we've got this hotel data. We know what images it has, we know what the description looks like. We look them down the first hit. We say, render it, and it renders the whole hotel page. With everything above the fold, we've got the data for it. We assume that it's going to work, and in the back end, we fire off a request to the actual booking engine saying, shit, give me the data of this hotel. Wait, what price is it? We need more things. And that comes down a second or two later. For as far as the client's concerned, they go, oh, I look at that one. Bam, there it is. Oh, isn't it nice? And then it's loaded. So as they scroll down, we see what rooms are available and everything else. So that is a cheating way of giving us the feel that we're doing with loads of speed. Such a great fun. When's the last time you had fun coding? I'm a big fan of having fun. Do you see? Yeah. With React, I had the biggest grin on my face. I had some blues before the project kicked off. It's not going very well, and I found it out, and I've just been skipping in the office since. I don't know why. I just really enjoy it. It's a very, very pleasing way of working. Some advanced stuff, I'm just going to scoop over. You can do the stuff where we mentioned state, so checkboxes and things. That's one of the ways you can get it to redraw. If you're doing anything clever with forums or needs the state or anything like that, that's where state's going to be. That's all I'm going to mention on it. Bit of the topic in itself. This is one thing called React Router, which allows you to do URL manipulation in the browser as well. So we talked about how we've got 12 pages. They're all in that 300k. And all I do is I tell React Router, hey, I need you to go to /hotel/in-depth. And it changes the URL in the browser. And when it does that, React Router then goes, oh, I know which component I need to render for that URL. Bam! And it then just automatically switches out the entire content of the page, redraws it from the virtual DOM, and in an instant I get this lovely flash of goodness. There's a lovely thing called Flux, which is one of the missing pieces, which is how to talk back to the server and back again. You probably think, well, why don't you just wire up a simple bit of Ajax, which you can do. Flux takes a little bit further. It comes up with a lovely idea. If we ask for some data, and that's as far as that request goes, you click on a button, the button will kick off an action that says, right, we need this data, and then that action's finished. And then when the data eventually comes back, it goes to something called store. And the store will go, oh, my job is to collect the data and it goes back to the server, and then admit to everyone, I have data. You can come get me now. And what that does is it simplifies the loop. If you don't have to worry about which bits you've got to code where and what you've got to do and what to update when everything goes here. Flux takes a lot of that logic away. There's a couple of different, the reason I mentioned Flux is there's a couple of different implementations of it. I highly recommend you do the vanilla one that Facebook recommends until you get cannons on it. Get your head around it and you go, oh, I see how it works now. So when you actually do it yourself, you see how it works. If you try and do any of the cheeky stuff that's come out that tries to make it a little bit easier, you have no idea what magic is doing other than it makes it very difficult for you to understand what's going on. So do the raw one if you're going to play with it. Demo time, Wi-Fi permitting. So this, hopefully, will be a React page. So this whole page, which is what we saw in the image, this is all React. It's all being logged in, it's all rendering very nice and server. We talked about the optimistic updating we're going to do, which hopefully I can show you now when it comes up down the bottom. All that was quick. We've already got the data as JSON, that came down the first hit. We've already got all the templating we need to do that. By clicking that button, I told React, can you render the hotel page, please, with this data, with this model I already have? I threw that in, slowly but surely down the bottom now, all this additional data, fingers crossed, isn't loaded. But that would be, where the Ajax stuff would have kicked in. But you can see we've got everything above the folds. As far as the client's concerned, they think everything's loaded nice and fast. The trouble with this, I showed this to Warren when I did a blog post about React and said, well, can you show me anything? Can I see anything? He said, well, you can look at this test site that we're doing at the minute. It's probably going to break, but I've looked. And his reaction was, is that it? I expected to magic. I went, well, it's just HTML. What do you want? It's just a web page. I'm just using a different text to render it. It's doing its thing, but when you look at it, it's kind of like, it's all right. Where's the bells and whistles? Where's the fireworks? And the fireworks to me is the speed and everything else happening under the hood. In fact, you just take it so for granted when I know what work it's doing. But the really big thing for me is I know how maintainable this is. Using that JSX syntax, everything is declarative. I know exactly what it's doing. It's very easy to go back to and read. And that to me is what's really super powerful about it. Right, I think I'm nearly done. Good start. Any questions? Go. No? Excellent. Then I think I'm done. Feel free to buy me beer if you want to hear any more about it. And I'll happily talk about it all night long. Thank you very much for having me, America. You've been wonderful. Please go get coffee and donuts. I know. All right, so we have our this is going on. Roughly 3:40 will be all in here, and this is talk about what 7.2. Thanks, Kyle.
I knew Facebook had used it on some other sites.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, thanks for everything. Hey, good now? Yeah.